Welcome to the Political Trenches, local government at work. Today, we are continuing our journey in the municipal leadership realm. Today, we are speaking with Sheila Keisig, president of the Rural Municipal Administrators Association of Saskatchewan. Sheila grew up on a mixed farm south of Kisbey, Saskatchewan. She attended Lampman School from K to 12 in Lampman, Saskatchewan. Sheila started her training at the RM of Tullymet number 216, with the office located between ltuna and Balcarres in 2005. After receiving her Rural Class C certificate, she was hired as the administrator of the RM of Tullymet number 216 in November of 2006. Upon the retirement of the previous administrator in May of 2010, Sheila received her Rural Class A certificate. Sheila and her husband Travis farm south of ltuna, where they have two grown daughters, both living within an hour of their farm. Between work and the RMAA Board, Sheila keeps busy with her farming and her family. Sheila was elected to the board in 2013 as Director of Division 1 and elected as Vice President in 2020, and now serves as President since 2014. With that, welcome to the show, Sheila.
Hi, Chris.
So before we get started, I should just ask, how many of those names of those municipalities did I get right and how many did I get wrong?
Uh, Tullymet, but that just rolls off our tongue just because we're used to it. Balcarres.
Balcarres, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so let's just jump right into the interview. And Sheila, my very first question to you is, can you explain what role RMAA plays in Saskatchewan's rural municipal landscape?
So the RMAA, the Rural Municipal Administrators Association, is made up of 6 directors. We follow the same divisions as SARM does. The 3 South divisions, the 3 North. Each has a director. We have a vice president and a past president and an executive director, as well as the SARM president sits on our board as ex officio. I don't want to say the word oversee because that's a little, it's like it's too much of a, what's the word I'm looking for? We want to make sure we have a mandate that we follow in order to make our members, who are rural administrators, in order for them to be able to do their job fully. So the requirement, obviously, to be a member of the RMAA is to have a rural C. So that is basically your entry level. And we are there as a board to, we have our committees that we sit on, and we are there for our members. If they have questions, if they have problems, it gets to be a little bit of a gray area because it seems to be lately the main problems are the council administrator relationships. We can't get involved in those other than provide tools for the administrators to use. We basically, in a nutshell, we just want to see all our members succeed.
Thanks. My turn to jump in a little bit now, if I may. And Saskatchewan, I think, is at least somewhat unique, if that's a term I can use, in how it certifies administrators and CAOs. Can you tell us a little bit about how you become an administrator or a CAO in Saskatchewan?
Sure. So we have 5 classes that you have to take at the U of R under the local government administration course. And after those are complete, or while you're completing those, you can put in your hours, and you need 1,800 hours underneath a mentor. The mentor has to have at least an A certificate or a superior A. Once you've received those hours and your mentor has signed off, you are a C certificate and you are able to work in an RM with no supervision. You just go on. Mm-hmm. After 2 years, you can apply for your A, and the A requires an in-office inspection. So we have inspectors, and it's another arm of our association. They go out to the offices and inspect, and there's a checklist that they go through to make sure that everything, checks and balances, are covered and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do by legislation and whatnot. And that's that. If you want your superior, that's another, I want to say, 9 classes and another inspection. So
Can you call yourself an administrator without having a certificate?
no.
Can you take on the role?
No. A lot of people, a lot of RMs, if they're needing an administrator to fill that capacity, they're not qualified. It is acting administrator, and you work underneath a permit.
And is there a requirement for ongoing professional development as part of that to retain a certification?
Yes, good question. We have, it's made up of 16 hours a year. And so those 16 hours are documented. Like, for instance, SARM annual convention is 4 PD hours. Our RMAA convention that's held in May is worth 9. Then there's division meetings. There's workshops throughout the year that make up the 16 hours.
All right. I'd like to switch a bit more broadly now and talk about Saskatchewan as the rural component of Saskatchewan municipal life, and talk a little bit about if you know what might be unique about how rural municipalities or RMs operate in Saskatchewan, where I'm not sure that there are any other provinces or territories that do that. I could be wrong, but you might be unique there too.
We might be. We're still holding on to our rural status. And I've been to the Manitoba conventions. I've been to the Alberta conventions. They're not a whole lot different as in what we do, what our capacity, I'm finding too, though, that as our RMs get bigger, population grows, there's more and more utilities needed.
Can you explain how towns and villages and even cities operate when they're kind of within the boundaries of an RM? Are they separate and apart, or are they part of the RM?
Yeah, they are completely separate municipalities. We work together a lot with our towns, our villages that are inside our borders, our boundaries, through recreation, through fire departments, fire associations, policing, public safety, things like that. Libraries, that's another one. Fun fact, Tullymet is the only RM in the province that has no village, no town, no hamlet. It is strictly rural. There is not one urban population in it. So that's pretty unique for mine. However, we have our 2 towns that we help out, we support with recreation and fire and whatnot. So
I'm just going to jump in here for a second because I find that fascinating that you are you are the one RM in the entire province that doesn't have a urban center. Now, in Alberta, we call them intergovernmental collaborative frameworks, ICFs, where rural, and I'm not sure if they're called that in Saskatchewan, but where rural and urban have to work together on those key issues like libraries, funding, garbage, all those fun stuff. So do you work with your fellow rural municipal SAOs and CAOs as well? Like, how does your frameworks work? Or is it just you get to be by yourself and you get to just go along your old rural merry way?
Well, you can be by yourself, absolutely. And I believe that was kind of, for the most part, how it was when I first started this career 20 years ago. Everybody just kind of did their own thing. Now the landscape's changing, right? You've got things are more expensive, number one. It's cheaper to, just as a quick example, it's cheaper for 3 RMs to get together, and you're sharing fire association, you're sharing regional parks, absolutely. And then you bring in the urban population in that too, and so now we call it intermunicipal cooperation is what we call it out here. Those are the buzzwords here.
Interesting you mention that, because Saskatchewan likely has more municipalities per capita than any other province or territory in Canada, and nearly 300 of those are RMs.
Yeah.
How do you use the impact on programs and services being delivered and how effective local government is, have it be impacted by having that many, mostly really small municipalities?
Impact is it like on the locals?
Yeah, how do you afford to provide the services that, I mean, the roads, culverts, bridges, dust abatements,
Right,
ag programs, all those things that your citizens are looking for
right,
on a probably what is a fairly small budget.
right. Absolutely. Like our budget is it's not large. We very much appreciate the government's municipal revenue sharing. That comes every year. That's a no strings attached. It's an operating whatever you see fit because that's who knows how to spend the money in your local government is the local council. Um, I always say council, like that's not a big expense either, the administration of council. People that get on council, especially rural, they're not in it for the money. It's strictly betterment of their community. And so that's not a big price tag there. The graders, absolutely, that is getting pricey. All the road equipment, everything's going up in price.
Right.
You just a lot of asset management, a lot of strategic planning of what needs to be fixed, what can wait another year. You don't want to strap the entire expense onto the taxpayer's back.
Sure. How do you address, maybe this is an association question rather than a specific RM, but how do you address the sustainabilities of small RMs, particularly as we've seen elsewhere in the country, people are moving to larger centers or tending to gravitate towards them anyway?
Well, there's always the economic development, and that's where we would, and most RMs would piggyback off of their towns and help
Mhm.
the urbans and get involved that way. We've been fortunate in our RM. It's kind of taken a bit of a shift, as in more younger people are coming back home to farm. Farming's great. This is where the money is now, and you're seeing a lot of these young people coming home with their young families, and we're seeing a lot of young people, and I'm saying young because I was there 20, 30 years ago when we came back to a farm. It's great to see. Now, if that's any indication of the young people coming back to farm, to me that just everything just flows. The sustainability of the RM and keeping things, you know, everything's up to snuff, everything's rolling like that. To me, just works part and parcel with the young people coming back.
Okay. Right. How far would it take me if I was to live in Tullymet? Where would I have to go for my grocery shopping? How far a drive would that be?
15 minutes either north to ltuna or north or south to Balcarres. We're right in the middle. We're about an hour to Regina. So, yeah.
So the RM you manage
Yeah.
has been in existence since 1913 as a
Yeah.
population of about 200,
Yeah.
thanks to my quick Google search and Wikipedia. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. How much time do you spend on RM business in a given week or a given month?
Well, I'm in the office usually, and I'm going to say usually, office hours are 4 days a week. Um, Being the president of the RMAA, I also sit on the SARM board. That takes about 4 days a month out of the office. I've been it's been happening that I've been going in earlier and earlier every day, it seems lately, just to keep caught up on whatnot. Um, it's it's amazing though. I will say it is absolutely amazing that I've been at this for 20 years and there's always something new that pops up. There's always something that you've never done before, you've never addressed before. And that's what keeps you on your toes. You just
No
you
doubt.
just there's always something new.
And I know Chris wants to ask you a few more questions
Okay.
about the association itself, but
Yeah.
just getting close to where I'm ending up is how did you decide you wanted to get involved in local government leadership in the first place?
Funny, I never really considered it in 2013 at all. A good friend of mine had approached me and said, "Hey, like, we just got to finish off this term. It's just a 1 year term, and then you can see if you like it.
Hmm.
And I did the 1 year, and my kids were little. We were farming full time, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. After that year, I was hooked.
Mhm.
I absolutely love seeing people grow, people just enjoy what we do. That is one of my reasons that I've continued on this board, on this leadership. I just want to see people succeed.
Hmm. What is it that you enjoy seeing them do? You talk about success. What kind of successes or enjoyment do you get out of it for
I've
them?
seen, and I guess too, being there for 20 years, I've seen the ones starting, and I was there too. You're not confident in what you're doing. You're a little, you're dealing with a lot of new things at once, and you're just not confident. And then to see them, and they're up at a mic at our convention or our meeting, and they're rattling off stuff that they've done, and they know their stuff, and they're confident, and they are leading a great council. And I say leading, meaning they're advising their council, and their council, it's a good working council.
Mhm.
That just makes me so proud and so happy that maybe our board is on the right path. We are doing things good.
Now it's my time to jump in, and I get to ask the semi-challenging questions and the opportunity questions. So I apologize, Sheila, but I've got to rip the Band-Aid off right away.
Okay.
Ian did say that there is a large amount of municipalities, RMs, across Saskatchewan. Are you seeing the role of administrator being as viable as it was 20 years ago, or are you seeing there's challenges in recruitment and retention of administrators across rural Saskatchewan today?
Recruitment is always a tough one that we as a board deal with. I'm going to say about 10 years ago, the big one was retirements. Holy man, like everybody was retiring and then trying to fill these spots. We managed, we got through it, and it sort of settled down a bit. But now we're looking at the next 5 years, we're going to lose a bunch more due to retirement. How do you make this job enticing? We've tried numerous ways. Um, I like looking at it as I was able to work close to home. I was able to put my kids on the bus in the morning for school, go to my job, work with neighbors, work with farmers, work with council that want to do better for their community. And I was still able to get home before the kids got off the bus. Like, it was a perfect setup. And that's what we're trying to, it's a good gig. There's no two ways about it. How we can get that through people to want the rural life. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to want the rural life. That's the bottom line.
Is there, I'm trying to figure out how to word this correctly. Is there a misunderstanding about the role that the administrator plays in rural Saskatchewan compared to urban? Because here in Alberta and Manitoba, where I've chatted with both the organizations that your sister organizations in both provinces, there's a sense that in rural parts of the provinces, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. You're one person doing everything, and there's that sense that it's going to be overwhelming. Do you get that sense that people are looking at that role and going, maybe I shouldn't? Or how do you combat that by saying you actually do have a team of support through RMA to help you through these challenges, that you may not be alone? You actually do have a team supporting you.
That's exactly it. Yes, I am a single office. I learned very quickly. You pick up that phone and you phone your neighbor. You phone the person that you had coffee with at convention 3 months ago. You rely on your colleagues a lot. As for like the network, the peer network, we've always stressed the fact there's always somebody that can help you. And it's just a matter of reaching out. I find, and I don't know, I could age myself here, but I'm finding that the new administrators are they shy to phone their neighbors? Are they afraid? They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to ask a stupid question. Good God, I have asked so many stupid questions in my time. It's okay. We've all been there, right? And I guess that's what I'm wanting to stress to our members. There is no stupid question. Just ask.
Well,
Nobody's
you haven't listened fully to our shows then, because I tend to ask the very stupid question, which I'm about to ask now. Do you think it benefits your administrators that the government asks administrators to go through that certificate program to ensure that they know exactly what they're doing? Because other provinces don't do that. As Ian said, this is very unique, but it gives a leg up, because I've chatted to many CAOs in Alberta or in Manitoba and even some in urban Saskatchewan who say, yeah, I'm so happy that we took that, because now I'm able to get a job in Manitoba, Alberta. And while municipal government policies and MGAs may be different from province to province, pretty sure the structure is the same way.
right. I see great value in it. And just the simple fact that January 1st, 2021, legislation came in that all villages 100 and less had to have an administrator, a certified administrator. So before, anything under 100 for a village was not required. However, the RMs always had to have. It gives you the knowledge, the like you said, the leg up on things, that you have an idea of what you're facing in your career. That being said, I mean, there's plenty of administrators out there that have commerce degrees, that have political science degrees. They've taken the classes, but that's the thing, you still have to take the classes, the 5 classes. I like the fact that we do have a higher standard of level in our province. Like, not, and I know lots of CAOs in Manitoba and Alberta that are probably way smarter than me talking to them, but we have that standard, and it's just an even standard that you must go through, and I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Sheila, I'm going to jump in for a moment here around labor mobility. As things have been happening south of the border, we've now talked a lot about how do we transfer or allow transfers of skills amongst jurisdictions in Canada. Are you seeing anything around with your members or even with members of urban municipalities around either restrictions on labor mobility, getting jobs in other provinces, or bringing administrators in from other parts of Canada?
So we've gone through this a few times. I can probably count on 2 hands as I served in vice and now president. We did have administrators come from other provinces for jobs. They went through our board of examiners, for instance. There was a criteria that they had to meet. And once they met that criteria, they were given the go-ahead and they were certified. I'm not sure how it is going out of province. I haven't heard anything. I know, like Manitoba, our Manitoba border and Saskatchewan border, it's just like Alberta too, but I always hear more Manitoba because we're closer to that one. Administrators, there's been one come from Manitoba into Saskatchewan. There's been one from Saskatchewan go into Manitoba.
I know her quite well.
Okay. But it was seamless, right? So I'm thinking that there's not a lot of hindrances in there. So
Thanks.
I want to jump in and I want to flip the script, because I don't want to think that there's only challenges in the realm of rural municipal administrators. What's the opportunities that you're looking at into the future? Because we talk about the challenges of labor shortages, of people not wanting to get in the field, but there's got to be something on the horizon that gives you hope that the field isn't a dying field, that once was a viable option that many people wanted to go into.
I think you're starting to see one of the, one of the things that most people looked at. Nobody wants to work alone. Nobody wants to work in an office by themselves. We're starting to see the RMs are getting bigger. There has to be office help. There's so many things going on. There's planning, there's development. So looking forward, I can see that as a great calling card sort of thing. People will want to come. They'll want to set down roots. They'll want to, work in an office where there's a team. We just want to make everything a fun atmosphere, a fun place to work. We want to make sure we're helping administrators in our capacity where we can with relationships with council, to make it more rewarding, because I truly believe it is a rewarding career.
So how do you measure that success? How do you as president of RMA measure that success across the province? Because I'm just going to pick some random municipalities, RMs in Saskatchewan, but I can imagine the issues and challenges that the administrator in the RM of Gull Lake is dealing with is, while similar, challenge-wise, it's going to be a lot different than your RM.
Right.
So how do you measure success in an ever-evolving landscape where seems like whatever division you go to, there's going to be unique challenges and opportunities? And as RMA, how do you measure that as a province-wide success rather than an individual success?
Just individuals. Province-wide, I know, well, personally, I know when I come away from our convention in May, either feel positive, as in I've talked to many people, things are going great, their councils are great to work with, things are getting done, there's no hang-ups, there's no problems with grant applications, things like that. Things are getting done. That makes me feel good. You come away there's been some years that you've come away, you literally feel beat because you don't know how to fix all the problems, because like you said, every place has their problem. To gauge success, I would feel people are happy, our members are happy with bylaws that we're putting forward, policies that we're putting forward to help them in their jobs, in their roles. I think too, gone are the days, and I could be gone are the days where counselors get on for their personal agenda.
Yeah.
I'm fine, they are there, they want to do better. There's just so much more information out there on good governance, and everybody wants to do a good job. Once that council does a great job on good governance, that rolls back onto us. Our job is easy peasy if we've got a good council.
So I know I said that was going to be my final question, but I'm the king of asking a final question after asking the final question. So I'm going to ask my final question now. And the role of the administrator has changed a lot over the last 20 years since you first entered into the municipal realm. Leadership styles have changed. Leadership at the council level has changed. Leadership at the administrator level has changed. What do you see for the future of administrators in rural Saskatchewan in 20 more years? So when you're 41 years old in 20 years, what do you see as the challenge or the change that is going to impact your role as an administrator?
Well, in 20 more years, when I'm 41, I'll guess I'll still be working because I'll be that much farther from retirement. No, I think we're gonna find the smaller villages, we're seeing that already, dissolving into the RMs. And I think in 20 years, the landscape of rural Saskatchewan will look different. Um, that's what I'm predicting. Therefore, the role of the administrator, like that's a whole skill set you're learning all over, because you're bringing that urban in, and you're trying to make it work rurally, and you're trying to convince your rural council this is happening, guys. That's what I predict. That's what I see. I hope I'm wrong, Chris, but that's what I see.
Okay, now I said that was my last question. Then you said that. Now I have to ask this question. How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare for that? Because municipalities, and I say this respectfully to all municipal leaders who are listening to this, who are about to send me very nasty emails, municipalities are very reactive in their approach to a lot of things. They react to things, they don't proactively plan for things. But if this is an issue that you see coming down the pipeline, how are you proactively? How is RMA proactively preparing for that? Or is it cross our fingers and hope it doesn't happen and just hope that better winds prevail this issue?
I think we're past the crossing our fingers and hope that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I think being proactive, let's work with the small urbans that are struggling. What can we do? What can we do as a community? Not as an RM, as a community. What can we do to help? Is there anything that we can help? I mean, other than you don't want to keep throwing money, you can't do that. You need a real structured policy set out. What can we do to help? Sometimes it's beyond help. I suggest you need to be proactive. You need to have plan B set aside, ready to come up. The plan B might look like a bit of asset management savings, we call it, just in case. Obviously, you take over these urban villages, there's things there that we don't do. We don't have lagoons. We don't have water and sewer infrastructure. So that's all, stuff that's coming out of one bank account that we've never had to deal with before. But if you can, sit down and talk to the villages, see where they're at. It's as Matt, like just a conversation over coffee. Council meet together and how are things going? I don't like surprises. I don't, like that's something that we hear the most from our administrators is we didn't even know it was coming. So
well, hopefully you can prepare for that. Sheila, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, from Ian, for sitting down with us and talking. When we connected at SARM, I knew I had to have you on the show to talk about rural leadership. So thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. That was great meeting you finally. Fangirl.